Now, despite what the title of this video says, I'm pretty excited for James Gunn's new Green Lantern series. Just recently, he did an interview stating that no DC project under his leadership will go into production unless the script is perfect. I don't know about you, but this is definitely something I want to hear from the guy running the new DC cinematic universe. For a while, I was looking forward to this new show until my overly analytical brain kicked in and started obsessing about the details that got released for this new Green Lantern series. Do I want to ruin this Green Lantern series for all you? No, but it would be nice to get this all out of my system. After all, the Green Lantern wound is still pretty fresh for myself and the rest of us DC fans. In this video, I'm gonna be like Tony Soprano in therapy, and instead of bitching about my mom, I'll be bitching about the new Green Lantern series. But before we get into this, please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics. You do not want to miss out on our awesome content. Number 1, why are we taking the grounded approach? Now, the first issue I have with this TV series is the fact that this Green Lantern show will take place on Earth. I know what you're thinking. Why should this be a problem? Well, it's a problem for the same reason that those old Fantastic Four movies were problematic. Both Green Lantern and the Fantastic Four need to take place in outer space. For crying out loud, Green Lantern is an intergalactic space cop. It's way more interesting to have Green Lantern interact with aliens and other Lantern Corps than to have him deal with problems on planet Earth. James Gunn could really use the Green Lantern series to do so much world building. He can introduce the Tamaranians, the Daxamites, and the New Gods. The Green Lantern series could even set up a lot of Superman and Supergirl alien villains like Brainiac, Mongol, or Lobo. It would be such a missed opportunity to not have the Green Lantern series take place in outer space. James Gunn, of all people, should understand by now that people want weird outer space movies. He directed many Guardians of the Galaxy movies that pretty much took place in outer space. There's only a few scenes in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that I can think of that take place on Earth. People want weird comic booky aliens that have fun personalities. To have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart just interact with humans would be such a missed opportunity. Now, I could be wrong here. Who knows? Maybe the plans at the DCU could have changed by now and it'll take place outside of the Milky Way. But from what I've heard, the new Green Lantern series will be a true detective type of show that will involve Jon and Hal solving a mystery on Earth. I guess I'm okay with this direction just as long as we get to see some world building happening outside of the planet in the DC universe. Number 2, we need more Hal Jordan. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what's going on with Hal Jordan. From what I've heard, the actor who will be playing Hal, Kyle Chandler, only signed on for the first season of the Green Lantern series, whereas the actor who will be playing Jon, Aaron Pierre, signed on for more than one DCU project. Now, personally, I think that these castings are just perfect. To me, Kyle Chandler just has that Hal Jordan confidence and charisma, and Aaron Pierre oozes that Jon Stewart bravery and maturity. These guys are just awesome. I just wish we'll get to see more of Hal Jordan. To me, Hal is the best Green Lantern. He's just the embodiment of willpower in the DC universe. His personality clashes really well with a lot of DC Comics characters out there. His extroverted and headstrong attitude clashes perfectly with Barry Allen's shy and reserved nature. His loyalty to authority figures was a perfect antithesis to Oliver Queen's proclivity to challenge the man in Neil Adams and Dennis O'Neil's Green Arrow and Green Lantern series. And his brash and quick-to-action nature really got under Batman's calm and calculated mindset. He's just one of those DC Comics characters that's just so perfectly flawed. He's cool, confident, and charismatic, and yet he can be just so arrogant and a bit of a jerk sometimes. There's just so much potential for a character like that. There's just so much room for him to grow and mature as a person. There's just so many avenues to take with Hal. You can have stories where he abandons his pride. You can have character arcs where he realizes that he's blindly following orders from powerful institutions like he did in the Neil Adams series. And hell, his origin story of him learning to become a Green Lantern was pretty decent. Now, I don't have a problem with Jon Stewart. I just think he's too perfect. Before he became a Green Lantern, he was a pretty capable person. He served in the military and became an architect. He's always been a really formidable member of the Justice League who barely made any mistakes. And let me tell you, a character like that is very hard to write for. If you introduce a character that's already very smart, mature, and capable, it's very hard to write a story centered around that character. I mean, where's the room for growth? What I imagine will happen is that Jon will get taken under Hal's wing and make a few mistakes as he gets closer and closer to becoming an amazing Green Lantern. But here's the big question that I have for you. What type of personal growth is Jon Stewart going to experience in the DCU? There's a couple of times in the comics where he let his pride get the best of him. For example, in Cosmic Odyssey number 2, Jon accidentally lets the planet Sanshi get destroyed. He was pretty messed up after that experience. I forget exactly how that story played out, but I think he refused to get help from Martian Manhunter. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Hal Jordan is way more flawed as a character than Jon Stewart, so it would be such a missed opportunity to only feature him once in the DCU. This guy somehow managed to land a punch on Batman. Let me repeat that. He got away with punching Batman in the face. How can you not have mad respect for Hal Jordan? Now, that doesn't mean I'm not excited for Jon Stewart. It seems like James Gunn is building his Justice League to look similar to the Justice League cartoon. Personally, I really like that show. He accomplished humongous feats, and I thought his character clashed really well with the Wally West Flash. I just hope that James Gunn won't kill off Hal Jordan. There's a lot of potential for that character, so the last thing I'd want is for him to just show up and die. They can have him leave Earth to deal with some intergalactic threats, or they can write him out by having him take the time off to train the new generation of Green Lanterns like Jessica Cruz, Kyle Rayner, and Simon Baz. Hal Jordan is the GOAT. You know it, I know it, DC knows it, and pretty much everyone knows it. Now, on to my next point. Why is this Green Lantern show important? To have these guys explore and protect the cosmos as these intergalactic policemen is a really great idea. Everyone wants to see Hal and Jor explore the galactic regions of the DCU. But here's the thing, the creative team is just gonna have to answer one simple question. James Gunn said it best. People are not asking themselves why these stories are important. Wonder Woman is very important as she's a feminist icon. She gives women of all generations so much confidence. I thought Aquaman was pretty important as it at least brought up the fact that we're damaging the environment. And this new Superman movie will show us why kindness is important in a world that deems kindness as old-fashioned. When it comes to Green Lantern, the creatives have to be really careful. The creatives just cannot rely on the fact that this is a really fun concept. They have to answer the question, why is this Green Lantern series important? I feel as though this is why the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie failed. At the end of the day, that Green Lantern movie just wasn't that deep. It was just about some guy who had a space ring and had to figure out how to beat that cloudy space monster at the end of that movie. That Green Lantern movie was just there. It was just a piece of furniture. If James Gunn wants this Green Lantern series to do well, he's gonna have to ask himself why this story is gonna be important. If they did something intelligent with the Green Lantern series, then I'd totally be down for that. Since they're basically space cops, it would be cool if the show explored themes in regards to law enforcement. The new Spider-Man games did a pretty great job of exploring both sides of law enforcement. On one hand, you had the NYPD, who had the city's best interests at heart, and on the other hand, you had Silver Sable's private military contract, who were overly militarized and were pretty much on a power trip. It would be really cool if this Green Lantern series explored both the good and bad sides of law enforcement. To cover both sides of a philosophical conflict, South Park style, would make for some pretty interesting social commentary. I think it would be really cool if Jon Stewart got recruited into the Green Lantern Corps and starts to question the authority figures in the Corps. It would make for an interesting character arc for Jon to call out the cops for instilling fear into the people that they're trying to protect. If the Green Lantern Corps started out as this intergalactic police force that lost their way and Jon changed the culture there, that would make for a pretty interesting story. In terms of what we know, this series is going to be a true detective type of story. Apparently, the mystery will play into the larger story for the DC universe. When I think of DC comic cosmic mysteries, Darkseid's anti-life equation or the Manhunter androids made by the Guardians of Oa come to mind. For those of you who don't know, the Manhunters were made by the Guardians of Oa before the Green Lantern Corps was created. I remember a storyline where the Manhunters resurfaced and the Justice League had to deal with them. So those are more or less my thoughts. I think James Gunn will do a great job with this Green Lantern series. I'd just prefer it if it wasn't too grounded. It definitely needs to take its time and do some world building in the DC Universe cosmos. I hope that they'll opt to keep Hal Jordan alive so that we'll get to see him kick some ass as the character again. And I'd prefer it if the show will be meaningful and thought-provoking as opposed to just some whatever story. I will say this though, I'm genuinely curious as to what's going to happen in the story. I know it's going to be some sort of passing of the torch situation with Hal and Jon, and Jon's definitely going to get recruited and undergo training in the Green Lantern Corps. I just have no idea as to what this mystery is going to be in the show. I guess that's why they call it a mystery. Now, given the fact that this series will be somewhat of a mystery for hardcore DC fanboys like myself, I'll still make some Green Lantern reading recommendations nonetheless. First, I'd start off with Green Lantern Secret Origins, as this story goes over Hal Jordan's origin story and it serves as a really great introduction to the Green Lantern Corps. Then I'd read the Neil Adams and Dennis O'Neil Green Lantern and Green Arrow series. Jon Stewart made his first appearance in issue number 87. Then I'd move on to Green Lantern Emerald Twilight. Hal Jordan unfortunately failed Coal City and witnessed seeing his precious city destroyed thanks to Mongul and Cyborg Superman. Afterwards, Hal lost his mind, tears into Oa, kills other lanterns, and steals their rings and destroys the Green Lantern Corps. Then he gets possessed by the alien entity known as Parallax and tries to rewrite the universe to bring his city back. Unfortunately, Hal gets killed by his best friend Oliver Queen before he could carry out his plans. Afterwards, I'd move on to Green Lantern Rebirth. This story covers how Hal Jordan came back to life and how he brought the Green Lantern Corps back. Then I'd read Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War. It's loud, it's creative, and it's a classic DC comic story. The Corps is not only up against the Sinestro Corps, but they're also up against some of the biggest villains in the DC universe. Then I'd finish up with the Grant Morrison's Green Lantern series. The universe and the Green Lantern Corps feel strange and weird in the best ways possible. In this story, Hal's a capable intergalactic cop who's been on the force one too many years. Grant Morrison pulled back from a lot of the rigid Green Lantern rules by letting the Green Lantern ring achieve the impossible. It gets so weird and out there that an entire universe was stored inside of Hal's Green Lantern ring. Then I'd finish up with Green Lantern Earth 1 cause the latest set pick from Kyle Chandler is giving me some Earth 1 vibes. Who knows? The show might pay homage to at least one of these storylines. If you know of an interesting Green Lantern story that I did not mention, be sure to drop it in the comment section below. But what do you think? Do you think that James Gunn's Green Lantern series will do well? What do you think is going to happen to Hal Jordan and John Stewart in the DCU? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thanks a million for watching my videos. Please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Rebirth Comics so that you do not miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.